afternoon. You're all saying, Geoff, you're knocking out quite a lot of videos at the moment. Have you got a lot of time on your hands? I'm hoping I'll have some more time on my hands this evening because I'm going watch shopping. But Rolex watches aside, I'm calling this video Amendments, Myths, Clarifications, and hang on a minute, what about XYZ? All right, and it's sort of an amalgamation of stuff that is propped up in the comments and in various screenshots from various different things that we've been looking at. I want to start, I've got a few different things to talk about, and I'm going to talk about Porsches, I'm going to talk about Ferraris, going to talk a lot about EVs. I want to start with this one. Get your head around this data, right? This is from a Freedom of Information request that Barry Crampton put in, and he thinks the DVLA have been messing with him by not providing the information that he's actually asking for. But this is very interesting. If you don't know what SORN is, it's basically what you do when you don't want to tax your car because it's off the road for whatever reason. Maybe you're restoring it, maybe it's failed an MOT and you're waiting to get the work done, maybe it's something that you got in storage, but it's a car that's not being driven on the road. So you create a SORN, which means you don't pay the tax on it. This Freedom of Information request is how many SORNs for electrically propelled vehicles were made in each year. Can anybody tell me why 9,000 EVs were declared as off the road in 2021 and 10,000 in 2022 and 19,000 in 2023 and 30,000 in 2024? Why were 30,000 EVs declared off the road in 2024? You can kind of draw your own conclusions on this one. I don't want to read too much into this at the moment because I'm still trying to find out what on earth is going on. But I asked AI to generate me an image of someone trying to hide 30,000 EVs, and that's what it came up with. I don't know. It's fascinating, and none of the evangelists seem to be able to come up with a good, valid answer as to why 30,000 EVs are SORNed, and that's probably because if you were trying to fudge the figures, what you might do is sell your car, giving it one new owner, and then you'd try and sell it as secondhand. And whilst you were trying to sell it as secondhand, it would be SORN, so it wasn't taxed. So that way, it wouldn't show up in the figures on my DVLA database that I produced the other day, but it would log as a sale against your EV target, which would mean it would fall in here, 30,000 vehicles. You tell me. I think that's quite interesting. And then that leads into Barry's next question, which was about how many keepers an EV has had. I don't think you can read too much into this because this could be something, but it could be nothing. But you can see here the number of keepers that an EV has had, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10. And you can see that there's 19,000 EVs that have had 4 owners or more, which wouldn't make sense if you look at how old EVs are. Again, I don't want to dwell on this because I do think you need more information on this. You need to know how old the cars are. So this could be something, but it could be nothing. So I'm going to skip over it for now. I just wanted to make you aware of it. The next thing Barry looked at is how many EVs are getting written off. And this was just posted on Twitter this morning. 75 plate, Renault 5, been in a smash, clearly going to be written off. And that's where Barry's data comes in here. The number of EVs that have been recorded as written off 2021 to 2024. And again, maybe this is something, maybe this is nothing, but you would need extra data to make this make sense. 951 EVs written off in 2021. Well, we'd need to understand what percentage of EVs on the road 951 is relative to how many EVs were on the road in 2021, and then you can extrapolate it forward. I suspect it would tell us that EVs are being written off at a higher rate. But again, more research to be done there to make that a valid video. EVs in use. This one is useful. So this was February 2025. The recorded information held shows that there are 1.5 million vehicles with EV-only propulsion that are currently licensed. So that was basically clarifying. I mean, my spreadsheet that I produced the other day had 1.3 million vehicles in it. So we're not far off. Then you've got the number of EVs that changed ownership within 3 months. Now, again, what Barry was looking for here is evidence of what he suspects, which is that people are buying an EV, realizing it's not for them, and then taking it straight back to the dealer. Something that the evangelist would have you believe never happens. However, in 2024, 11,500 EVs changed hands after the first 3 months of initial registration. But I say again, we need more data on this, because it might be that the dealer registered it to themselves and then SORNed it and then sold it as a second-hand vehicle. So either which way you look at it, yes, we need to know more about this data, but there's something very strange going on and you can see where Barry was going in this with, 12,000 vehicles changing hands within the first 3 months. Then you've got the ownership numbers as well and the number of SORNs that are being made. You could see where Barry was going with this information, and I wanted to share that with you to get your thoughts. Right, let's dive into some other stuff that's going on as well. There's obviously been a lot of backlash from the evangelists about the data and the spreadsheet I produced. So let's just take a look at a few things. This is in the USA. Experts predicted an EV sales collapse. It's already started. This is in America. And what's happened is they've made changes to the tax credit system, and it has immediately bombed the market. Now, it's the same in the UK. EV owners, okay, we'll come on to that one in a minute. What's happened in the USA is they've basically removed some of the incentives for buying an EV. Now, when I used to work in selling hi-fi systems and mobile phones, I was always taught from a salesman's point of view, in terms of your sales training, that a weak product competes on its price. A good product should not be sold on price. We know full well that there's all these government incentives and all these dealer incentives to get people to buy EVs because of the price. If they were selling because they were good products, then they wouldn't need to talk about the price. That's why we've seen this collapse in the USA, and it's why we're seeing the same collapse in the UK, because they're messing with the incentives. Then there was this one in electric cars, which has just come up to, I think this is today. EV owners are given an alert as the numbers don't add up. And what they're saying is that the EV values have crashed by 37.5%. So why is it that we're being told that the EV market is doing so well when the values... It doesn't make sense, does it? None of this makes sense. The values of EVs are crashing hard second-hand. Why are so many selling new? And the answer is the incentives. They've incentivized business users to buy EVs. They've incentivized Motability to buy EVs. But the problem is, when those EVs go onto the second-hand market, there is nobody there to buy them, because there is no incentive to buy a second-hand EV. Be quiet, all of you that are saying, well, I bought a Tesla for £25,000 and it's cheaper to run than a BMW 320 diesel. I know, but there's not enough of you out there to justify what's going on in the wider market. Here you go, Mark Hodge. They're cheap and people still aren't buying them. I can't fathom the concept of a falling asset value being a bargain. They suffer huge depreciation. You buy one and it keeps depreciating. Well, the answer is, Mark, that the people that are buying them aren't paying for them themselves. Let's have a look at Evans Halshaw and see how they're doing. They're a big dealer group in the UK. And here they are on October 29th announcing that they have taken on the Leap Motor franchise. And here's 80 Leap Motor C10s that have just arrived at the dealership. Bearing in mind, they arrived at the dealership on a giant ship that came across from China and then were shipped to the dealership on lorries. Hashtag net zero. So how are these guys doing? Well, let's take a look. Articles. Long-standing car dealer axes 6 locations. Fresh blow as Britain's second biggest car dealer shuts 2 locations. Evans Halshaw confirms fresh wave of dealership closures as Lithia wields the axe once again. So that's not going very well, is it, for Evans Halshaw? But we wish them all the best in selling these 80 Leap Motor C10s, which I must say is quite a nice colour. I like that green. Let's do Porsche next. This little meme has been doing the rounds. Supercars are at a crossroads and the results might surprise you, comparing Porsche and Lamborghini. So Porsche went all in on electrification, as we know, with the Taycan. Lamborghini didn't. Porsche sales are down 6%. Lamborghini did a 180 on EVs, committed to hybrids, and made 520 million euros profit, with margin at 24.6. Porsche's profits fell from 4 billion to 40 million, and 35% of their lineup is now EV or hybrid. This has not gone well for Porsche, so this is just an AI overview, and it's actually from Inside EVs, who you would expect to be pro-EV. Taycan sales have declined significantly, falling by 50% in 2024 globally, which is crazy because 2024 was the year that the Gen 2 Taycan came out, and you would expect that all the people that bought the Gen 1 Taycan would have gone and get a Gen 2 Taycan, but it seems that the only person that did that was MacMaster. Here we go again. Porsche Taycan sales have fallen off a cliff. Porsche reports robust delivery figures despite the fact that things are not going well. 12,000 all-electric Taycans delivered between January and September. That's down 10%. Porsche sales drop, and the Porsche Taycan sales drop by 49%. So it's not going well for Porsche. The other thing that has come up is the fact that there were no trucks or many commercial vehicles in my data. 160 electric trucks deployed to Amazon's fleet. The new Mercedes-Benz e-Actros, 600 units. But there's some good comments on that, because you got to look at this. The e-Actros has a 621 kilowatt hour battery, 400 kilowatt charging CC52 connection. Each truck is like plugging in 13 kettles. So an Amazon depot needs 10 charging points, equivalent of 130 kettles, and each truck is the equivalent of 3 times my monthly electric use. So how good is that going to be for the planet? And Stuart says, don't expect your Christmas gifts to arrive this year. But there's more to it. The whole internet is skewed to avoid finding out how big the overall fleet is. 160 trucks is basically nothing. And there's a lot of people that are saying, and PepsiCo are well known to have bought a load of EVs as well. But relative to how many trucks are in the fleet, it's tiny. Here you go. Out of the UK fleet, 500,000 HGVs, only 300 are electric. So not only do they create they need massive amounts of power, not everybody has this power to put into them. For 20 trucks charging overnight, you need 8 megawatt power supply. That's 33,000 volts at the substation. Good luck deploying one of those in under 20 months. I suppose you could always charge via diesel generators, which we know that they are. And the last one on trucks is this one. I assume that it will only be used for depot-to-depot runs. As 300 kilometres of range is nowhere near enough to do a day's tramping. Meanwhile, DPD is ditching its EV vans after expiry of the current lease because the vans cannot complete a full day's work. Also, you need more trucks on the road because of the reduced load capacity. So this bollocks is insane. This is a good time for me to go into the Volkswagen van via Ed Stafford, who is missing the same teeth that I am. So this is, we'll do that one quickly. Electric cars, 2025 sales disappoint, but the Renault 5 surprises. So even these EV outlets are saying that 2025 sales are disappointing. And then we'll just quickly nip over to the USA for this one. We've kind of done this already. Ford and Hyundai report large declines in October EV sales after the end of the federal credits. So as I said, once those federal credits are dropped, the sales drop off as well because a weak product sells on its price. The Volkswagen van. I had loads of people say, here, Geoff, your comparison with the Volkswagen van was not fair because you chose one that was in an auction. Yes, I did, because they don't come up for sale very often. This is a Volkswagen Transporter ABT fully electric, the same one pretty much that I used in the video. Is 10,995. Okay, so I said in my video they were 8 grand. Here it is at 11 grand or best offer, and yeah, I messaged the guy and he said I can have it for 9,700. So yes, I used £8,000, which was an auction price, but it ain't far off, is it? Then there's this. Oh no, that shouldn't be in there. That's my new wheels coming from my Audi A8. Yes, I did invest in some new wheels for my A8. We're going a little bit sideways now for the end of the video. Let's take a look at what went on with Sotheby's auction in London just the other day. For some reason, the number plate WTF1 sold for £92,000. I can only assume that was sold to Angela Rayner to describe her thoughts on the UK economy at the moment. And then there was this one, the number plate F4T, which made £13,800. I think they thought that was going to make some more, but the F40 in the sale didn't sell, but then it did, which doesn't make sense. We got the Lamborghini Countach 5000 Quattrovalvo by Bertone. And interestingly, one of the guys I was speaking to at the dentist today, hello, if you're watching, leave me a comment, was telling me about how he owned a Countach back in the day when they were £40,000. And I had a great chat with him at the dentist about his ownership of his Countach. Anyway, this sold for £623,000. Which I think is low for what that is. And this Ferrari GTB4 Daytona makes only £320,000. We kind of understood that these were worth closer to £500,000. So the prices are really soft in the high end. Then you've got these two. I don't think either of these sold. This was estimated around £2.4 million for the F40. And when I checked it the other day, it was showing as unsold, but it's now showing as sold. So I don't know what's gone on there, but I also don't trust Sotheby's as far as I can throw them. The Diablo SV, which was beautiful, this colour was fantastic, didn't sell, which is why it says It's asking £400,000. Now, looking at cars that we can afford, this is a Volvo 850 T5 estate with only 15,000 miles on the clock. And interestingly, I feel like it's karma because I've been making all these videos. Some really interesting Volvo 850s have come up for sale in the last couple of days, including these two, which we're going to look at next. But let's take a look at this manual 850 T5. It's available online with Bonhams, and it's currently got 12 bids on it, and it's up to £8,000, but the reserve is not met. This is about as good as you're going to get for an 850 T5, and it's got a cool number plate on it. The next one I want to look at is these two, which have appeared on Auto Trader. We've got an 850 2.5 TD GLT. This is a turbo diesel. This is my car. This is basically my Volvo's twin. So if you're looking for a really good, dependable diesel Volvo, go for it. This is going to be a great buy. I'll show you, look. I'm tempted myself. Let's open both of these because I want to have a look at both of these. I'm tempted myself, but I don't need to spend 4,000 quid on a car that I've already got. But these are absolutely superb. They use the 5-cylinder Volkswagen diesel engine. They do 50 miles to the gallon all day long. They have plenty of poke, and most importantly, you can open the bonnet and repair things yourself. Nice simple tape player, heated seats, sunroof, all the car you could ever want. Please let me know if you do end up buying it. I wonder if it shows the running costs on here. Let's just take a look, shall we? Because you can compare this to a brand new car, and it still stacks up. They've got no fuel economy, but the tax is £360 a year. It doesn't show the fuel economy there, but I'm telling you, these do 50 miles to the gallon plus. Then you've got this one. This is a 2.3 T5, another really clean 2.3 T5. 12,000 quid. 87,000 miles. Hang on a minute. Didn't I nearly buy this car not too long ago? I want to know the number plate on this car. I nearly bought one of these, a manual T5, before I did the MacMaster Challenge road trip, before I bought my V70R. And I just wonder if this is the same car that's been tarted up and put up with a dealer with a massive price on it. I can't prove that, so don't sue me. But that looks absolutely lovely. That is a £12,000 30-year-old Volvo that will hold its value far better than anything else that we've been talking about in this video. So there you go. That's a rough rundown, all the various things that have been going on in EV land. Yes, I've got a lot of time on my hands at the moment, and if you would like a watch, email me, geoffbuyscars@gmail.com. I'm going to pop into town tonight and see if we can find some Rolexes. So I'll update you on that as and when it happens. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Keep clicking subscribe, because apparently people get unsubscribed for no reason, and I can't think what that's all about. Let's finish with this. I really want to know your thoughts on this. Why on earth have 30,000 EVs been SORNed in 2024? I'm just going to leave this here because I really want to know what's going on. I tell you what, let's actually finish with my man here trying to hide 30,000 electric cars. Brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks very much for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, the code word is yes, Jess. Yes, Jess. Why not? The code word is yes, Jessica. I'll have a Rolex. So if you made it to the end of the video, just comment, yes, Jessica. I'll have a Rolex. Should we finish with a picture of Jessica? Who is Jessica? Who's the first Jessica that comes up when you Google it on images? Let's find out. Images. Jessica Alba. Is she a good one? I don't know. Jessica Chastain. Who's she? Is she an actor? Oh, it's on Wikipedia, look. Who's Jessica Chastain? I recognise her. Is she an actor? What do we know her from? I don't know. Not a clue. Anyway, if you're still watching this at the end of this video, you shouldn't, because it's apparently rubbish. Who is she? Got to find out now. She's an American actress. What do we know her from? Movies. The Help, Molly's Game, Interstellar. Of course it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now I know. I spelled Interstellar wrong completely there. There she is. Oh, she's lovely. We like her. All right, brilliant. Yes, Jessica, I'll have a Rolex, please. Thank you very much for watching this video.